Hey everyone.
Hey guys.
Hi.
How are you guys doing? How is Slush? That's it? Woo! How is Slush? Who likes Slush? Woo! Great. Well, we're thrilled to be here. Let's see. We already got the introduction, so I won't do that. But my name is Loic, and this is Helen and Matt. And we are going to talk about the two, I think, hottest, let's call them hottest trends in technology, or two of the most talked about at least, which are VR and bots. And I'm thrilled to have two of the major influencers, evangelists, players in the industry to talk about it this afternoon. So, ladies first, Helen.
Sure.
You are Miss VR, at least in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, so I'm the virtual reality evangelist at NextVR. We're a live broadcasting company. We have NBA games every Tuesday. We work with the NFL. We do concerts live in virtual reality. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
And you also have you also have your own media, right? You write about VR a lot.
Yes, I write about VR a lot. I have a publication on Medium called Virtual Reality Pop. You can visit that at virtualrealitypop.com. There are articles there from across the industry, different thought leaders talking about virtual reality and where it's going to go, including Robert Scoble's recent article on Apple and where they're going to be going with augmented reality, virtual reality.
Tell me why you're excited about virtual reality, because there is very little, you don't see many people walking around with a big headset and a cable on top of the head.
Right.
It feels very much like I'm old enough that I used to have one of these huge mobile phones, right?
Yeah.
Where you had the battery pack on the back, and that was, I don't think it was Nokia who were doing the first ones. But anyway, it feels this way. I've tried a few of those like gear. What is it? Oculus has a cable, right?
Yes, so the Oculus, the Vive, all of them. I mean, you have massive cables hooking up to a PC if you're at home. You need a large space.
And you need the $3,000 PC.
Yeah, a $3,000 PC is the best version of virtual reality. But absolutely, I agree that we're in the stage of a mobile brick cell phone. It's huge, it's clunky, it's not that comfortable. And when you're talking about walking around with a headset on, that's more like augmented reality. And augmented reality is different in that you actually are able to see your physical environment, and it'll overlay information or graphics on top of that. Whereas in VR, you're fully immersed in a separate world with a screen and resolution.
So AR would be the masks on Snapchat, for example?
Yes, that's one example of it. I'm sure they're going to be integrating computer vision and other aspects of technology in it that allow you to map the world in front of you rather than just capture it as video.
I'm really happy when they add hair to me, for example. Like, there's a lot of cool things you can do.
Lots of fun filters.
But so why are you so excited about VR and AR? Personally, why are you so excited?
I'm incredibly excited about virtual reality because I think that it'll allow us to connect more authentically. Everything from being able to sit in the same room with family members or friends from across the country or across the world, you're able to share experiences with them, whether that's playing ping pong on Oculus Rift with touch, or exploring a new world in Google Earth on HTC Vive, or watching an NBA game courtside. You can do these experiences and experience them with other people that allow you access and connectivity in ways that we haven't had before. I mean, you can watch television together, you can chat with somebody.
You can watch, so you put an Oculus mask or headset?
Yeah, so you would wear a headset, and with that, you're connected by the internet, you're connected by the computer.
But why would you watch TV? So you see the screen in VR, and I would see you next to me, and you're not next to me. Is that?
Well, that's one example. There's companies like AltSpace which are doing that now. They've had lots of live events like the elections or things like that, where they'll have a room with a giant virtual TV in that room, and you'll just have avatars of all these different people together, and you're able to turn to the avatars side by side and have conversations with them, have discussions with them, as if you're in a sports bar or in a living room with your friends.
Who has tried VR? Can you raise your hand? Just tried. Okay, and now keep your hand up if you own a VR headset of any sort. See, that's crazy. So the whole room said I tried, and then you have 20 people who actually own one. This is incredible. So so Google is fixing that with a Pixel, and like there is a cheap, I just got it, $70 headset.
Yeah, there's a Google Daydream View, which is a very cheap headset that has a little remote in it. You're able to slide a Google Pixel phone. They've announced a couple new phones from Lenovo, Nexus, that they're going to be adding to the line. But Daydream is going to be an incredible platform because that's going to be Android. Yeah, I think it'll be incredible. Yeah. Very excited about that because it's easy, it's accessible, it's cheap, it's going to be available worldwide.
How is that different from cardboard? Because they had the cardboards already for
It's the evolution of cardboard.
Okay.
So cardboard was the first sort of prototype that they did at I.O. in 2014. They gave out these cheap cardboards. You can buy them anywhere from $5 to $25, slot a phone in there. But the difference is that now the processors and the phone is actually built for VR.
Oh, really?
Early on with a cardboard,
How is a phone built for VR?
For example, Qualcomm has a Snapdragon 820 chip, and it's actually a processor that integrates different parts of tracking into the processor on the phone. And so it's much smoother if you turn your head side to side. If you hear about people getting sick from VR, typically it's from latency issues and refresh issues. So if you're turning your head and everything blurs, you feel nauseous from that. But with more chips and more processing power in the phones, it's much more comfortable.
When the web started, there was the browser that became the basic UI. When there is a new platform coming in, there is always 1 or 2 or 3 applications that everybody talks about that become reference, right? Is there that in VR? Is there 2 or 3 applications that you say are going to be, that we'll all be using?
Yeah.
Or not? Not yet.
Right now, it's pretty early, but right now, the most talked about, most popular apps, I would say, are probably Tilt Brush, which Google acquired a couple years ago. Tilt Brush. It allows you to paint in 3D. So essentially you're sculpting and painting in 3D space. Oculus Medium is also doing that with a couple apps where you're sculpting in virtual reality. So instead of having an entire artist studio, you're able to just sculpt within an endless canvas, an endless artist studio, which I think will be incredible for creative people to work within.
I have tried that. I've been super impressed.
Yeah, Google Maps
because you just want to paint everywhere. It's just a lot of fun.
I mean, everybody remembers their first experience with Microsoft Paint, and that was just with a mouse, and you're sort of limited. But just the ability to have endless tools and endless canvases, and have an artist studio at your fingertips, I think is incredible. Okay,
that's one. Gaming, I guess.
Gaming is another big one.
Is there a game already that everybody should try, or that
Valkyrie?
Which one?
Eve Valkyrie. It's come as a launch bundle with most of the platforms across Rift and Vive, but essentially you are like an astronaut in a spaceship shooting different characters coming through, but you actually feel as if you're floating in outer space. You have your cockpit, you have your command center, and you are just floating through space. You're driving through it, you're flying through it, and it's quite incredible to see space from that perspective in such a believable way.
Is there video conferencing in VR already app? Because that should be really cool, right?
Right. I mean, that's going to be the future of where it's going, and I think that will really unlock the workplace in virtual reality. Right now, you are wearing a headset. You're covering one of the most essential pieces of your face, your eyes, in virtual reality. So I think before you can unlock opening up this part of your face in conferences, it would make more sense to just do it in Skype or Google Hangouts.
Yeah, it would be. I always think about that photo of Mark Zuckerberg, of course, with the whole room wearing a headset.
Yes, that was an incredible demo.
Scary. Yeah. Okay, well, cool. We'll come back to you in a second, Helen. Matt?
Yes.
You're Mr. Bots, Mr. Chatbots.
Yeah.
You're the editor of a magazine, which is Chatbots Magazine.
Yep, that's right.
And you also started Octane Ai, which is a chatbot company. So that's a lot of bots. What are chatbots?
Yeah. So, so how many people here have used a chatbot? Raise your hand. Okay. How many people have heard about chatbots? Okay. And how many people are disappointed by chatbots? Okay, so the reason chatbots are super interesting is most people don't realize this, but messaging apps are actually growing faster than social networks. And so this is when I got really interested in it. So about a year ago, I read that Facebook Messenger was growing faster than Facebook, which is super, super nuts. And so Facebook Messenger now has almost over 1 billion people using it every month. And when you look at it, there's a lot of other messaging apps out there that are also growing super fast. So you have Telegram, Kik, WhatsApp, WeChat, Viber, Slack, Discord, there's a lot of them. And so it makes sense that on a long enough timeline, and probably pretty soon, messaging apps are going to become the #1 way that people communicate online. And if that's the case, it makes sense that every business in the world is going to have to figure out a strategy to talk to people on messaging apps. The same way that every business has an email strategy and a social media strategy, now they're going to need to have a messenger strategy. And when you look at that, what are the 2 ways that you could have a messenger strategy? One, you could have like a call center where you actually have people chatting all day and it's all human powered, which is not very cost effective. 99% of businesses aren't going to do this. It's really expensive. The other solution is you can have a computer that can automatically respond to people's questions, and that's what we call bots. And so through that logic, everyone's using messaging apps. They're going to become the #1 way people communicate online. Every business is going to have a messaging strategy, and chatbots are the only scalable solution. So it makes sense that every company is going to have a bot. And so to kind of jump on that, one, I created Octane Ai as a really easy way for anybody to create a bot without coding anything. Takes about 5 minutes. And then I also created Chatbots Magazine, which is a publication where about 400 people write about their experiences with bots, and it reaches about 200,000 people every month.
Is that collaboration, like pretty much everyone can contribute?
Yeah, so if anyone out there is interested in writing about bots or you're working on a bot, you can go to chatbotsmagazine.com, you can apply to be a writer, and I will most likely add you, and then feature you in front of our audience.
Cool. All right, so give me examples of bots, because the buzz around bots is crazy.
Yep.
But frankly, I'm pretty disappointed right now.
Yep.
So do you have any cool, or usable examples you can talk about?
So I think, first off, bots were definitely overhyped. And I think when most people think of bots, they think of this artificially intelligent, business representative or personality.
And they're really dumb.
And
they're not AI.
They're dumb's one way to say it, but they're just early, right? They're going to evolve. And so eventually we're going to get to the point where you can have a completely fluid conversation with the bot. You can tell it whatever you want, and it can understand you like a human, but the difference is it's going to have instant access to entire databases. We're not there yet. Every major tech company, Google, Facebook, IBM, Microsoft is working on that, but we're going to get there. Right now, bots are more like lightweight mobile applications that you can access via messaging apps. And so they're not super smart. They're simple and straightforward. And so use cases, 1-800-Flowers has a bot where you can message them on Facebook, and within a few messages you can purchase flowers for whoever you want. There's a bot called Streak Trivia, which basically, if you message it on Facebook, it starts a new trivia game every day at the same time. So you'll get a message and it'll say, the new trivia game is starting now. Do you want to play? And you can say yes. And thousands of people all around the world will play, and then it will send off yes or no questions, and the more questions you get right, the better chances you have of winning, and it just does this every day. And so these are the kind of simple experiences people are playing with, but overall, there's no Snapchat of the bot world yet. There's no Instagram, right? There's no killer bot. And I think that's okay. If you think back to when the iPhone App Store first came out, there were a ton of apps because it's a huge opportunity and people realize that. But the most popular app was a fart app, where you would download the fart app, you would push a button, and it would make a fart noise. And then it took a while for Snapchat to come out. And so I think right now in the bots world, we're kind of in the fart bot stage.
Snapchat was a fart app before?
No, Snapchat is the evolution of a fart app.
Okay. All right. Tell me how you see, both of you, the differences between Europe, we're in Helsinki, and Silicon Valley, as far as bots and VR are concerned, because it's pretty amazing the number of startups here doing bots. And did you see anything interesting while you're here? How do you see the differences?
So I haven't seen anything while I'm here, but in the online communities for bots, so botsgroup.com, which is the biggest bots group on Facebook, bots is global. There are people in every part of the world who are making bots, both in Europe and the United States, and I know there's actually a tremendous amount of people here who are working on bots as well.
Okay.
So I think it's everywhere.
How about you, Helen? Do you see anything, or do you know of any cool applications in Europe? Because it changed a lot. It's amazing how many entrepreneurs are creating things here now.
Right. Well, Nokia is a company, it's a Finnish company. It reinvented itself to create one of the best...
Yeah, they were making boots before.
Yes. And they've created one of the best professional VR cameras. The Nokia Ozo, I believe they're doing a presentation tomorrow as well, but that is a company that's bringing VR to professional creators, and I think that's really incredible coming out of here.
Okay. All right. And so to talk to me a little about funding now. So how do you see funding coming, VC and angels funding those startups, both VR and bots? Same idea. What are the flows of money that go into it, and what are the ones which have been the most funded?
Yeah, so NextVR has been one of the most funded. We've raised 150 million today in 2 rounds.
Wow.
But when you think about who's funding virtual reality right now...
what does NextVR again? So the platform to build VR apps?
Yeah, so we're a live broadcasting company. We're a broadcast platform. We have technology across our capture side, encoding, compression, all the way down to the delivery. So if you have a Gear VR headset, you can download the NextVR app. And it's sort of like a Netflix portal where we have different channels for basketball, football, different types of sports, music, events. We've done presidential debates in there.
Does this work on the Pixel?
We'll be launching on the Pixel. Yes, we'll be launching on Daydream View. We'll be available on
So you're like
all the platforms.
you're like a media of VR apps.
We're like a Netflix of VR, but
Netflix
for live
of VR.
content. Yeah.
So you want to aggregate anything. Does it have to be built on your own platform?
Currently, it's all built within our platform. So everything from our own camera rigs, all the way through our compression technology to the delivery of the app.
But
so
can it be someone that has not done it on your platform? Could you become the CNN of VR? Or it has to be done by you?
We could evolve to that stage, but right now we have really strong quality control on it because we are doing it live. There's a lot of aggressive compression that's happening. We're streaming our content at about the same bit rate that you would stream YouTube or Netflix, 4 to 8 megabytes a second.
Wow.
So you can do it over your mobile phone.
And it looks like
Pixel.
HD.
Right. HD for where VR today is, so that's pretty low quality. If you're used to watching HD on a television, you're watching in VR right now, you still see a little bit of pixels, a little bit of poor resolution, but that's going to be improving. In the last 3 years that I've worked on VR, resolutions have been doubled.
Yeah.
And so they're only going to get better and better from here.
What are the most the events that had the most traffic that you covered live?
Football.
Football.
Yeah, soccer. So we've had a Manchester United versus Barcelona game. It was available globally. People are incredibly excited about that sport. I think that one has a global appeal.
But so how does it work? You put a 360 camera?
Yeah, so we do both 180 and 360. For example, at our NBA games, we'll have 8 different cameras. So you can imagine that if you're at a stadium, you have 8 virtual seats, and you can teleport from courtside to under the basket to backstage, in the locker rooms to up top to get a bird's eye view. You can teleport between all these different virtual seats within a event or a stadium. But when you're talking about funding, some of the biggest funders of virtual reality right now are content studios. You see Fox, you see Evolution Media Capital from CAA. You see these companies with their strategic corporate arms putting millions of dollars into early content companies right now.
Movies, VR movies, right?
Yeah, VR movies, VR content. We like to call them experiences more so because it's a pretty active experience right now. You feel as if you're actually there because you have the agency to be your own director. If you look left, you look right. If you want to change cameras, change perspectives, that's in your control rather than when you watch it on a TV or in a movie and you have a director or a producer who's moving all that view.
Yeah, there was a producer at an event that we did around VR where it was Cuba, a movie on Cuba in VR, and that's really cool because you can dance literally. You're in between people dancing. It's very impressive.
Right.
Very exciting. Matt, how about funding in the chatbot space? So what are the top? You just got funding, right?
We just raised funding. Yeah, we don't have over $100 million yet. We just have $1.5, but it's a.
Do you need $100 million for bots? No, right?
I think it's going to take a little bit to figure out bots, but we don't have to do as much hardware as the VR space. So I think VR has raised over $1 billion into VR companies, over $1 billion.
Magic Leap alone has raised over $1 billion in a single round.
What do they do?
Magic Leap is a highly secretive startup working on mixed reality. They essentially, from what is public, they have a sort of headset that beams using lasers, graphics into your eyes. So you're able to see both the real world and map graphics and digital objects into the real world.
At the same time?
At the same time.
So it's not opaque?
It can fluctuate between the transparency of opaque or transparent.
Wow.
But it actually...
Does it cover your face or no?
Yes, it should cover your face, but it's probably lens as well.
But there are cameras that see outside as well?
Yes, there's probably cameras looking inside, outside, tracking everything around you. But it takes a tremendous...
Who funded that?
Google was a lead fund
Google,
on that.
yeah. But no one has seen it yet.
Nobody has seen it without signing a hefty NDA.
Very secretive.
Very, very
Yeah, so
secretive.
chatbots don't have that kind of funding yet. And
They have a lot of PR.
we're like hundreds of millions of dollars into chatbots, whereas there's like billions of dollars into VR. And I think the reason for that is investors understand the huge potential of bots, but people are still trying to figure out what the best use cases are. And so people are working on customer support bots. People are working on bots that give you like superpowers in the workplace.
I can't wait for that. I don't want to talk to anybody on a customer.
Well, and you never want to be on hold again.
No.
Right? Like when you call your bank and it's like, oh, we'll put you on hold right now, and you have to like keep your phone open.
Press 1 for this, press 2 for that, and you want to throw away your phone. Yeah.
Right, we don't want that. We want to save your phone. Yeah, so bots are going to help with that. And then bots are also going to give you superpowers in the workplace. So you can imagine if you're on the phone call, you're doing a sales call, and you could have a bot that's monitoring that call, and it could be picking up information that the other person is saying, and it could even be potentially picking up sentiment analysis and then passing that on to your boss, and he could be figuring out overall, are our calls doing well or are they not doing well? And then one of the things I'm super interested in is, one, empowering everybody to create a bot and making that as easy as writing a blog post. And then two...
Is that the case with your platform?
Yeah, so that's what
It's already available?
Yeah.
Cool, so I'll try to do
you go to octaneai.com, you can sign up.
I'm going to try that.
And then the second thing is everybody's talking about these bots for customer support and like these superpowers, which I think is super, super cool. But the third category, which I'm really interested in, is in having bots enable you to share conversational experiences. And so the way that you could write a blog post and share a blog post, or the way you could record a video and put that up on YouTube, what if you could create a short conversation and share that with your entire audience, whether that's your fans or your customers, and now it's a more intimate experience where everybody is having a one-on-one conversation with you. And so that's something that we're looking into, figuring out how to enable conversational storytelling.
Which platform do you think will win? Because there is a huge fight, as you said. There is Facebook Messenger that has, David Marcus just announced new upgrades of a platform. There is Microsoft Amazon Echo, which is more a voice, but it's also a platform. What are the other platforms?
So I mean, you have WeChat, which is huge, and they have official accounts, and you have Kik and Telegram and Viber.
So which one of those? If I make a bot, do I have to make a bot for all of those and see what happens?
So
pretty much like you have to be on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. You have to be on all those.
Yeah, I think right now.
Do you have to code a different thing for all of those?
That's what's going to happen. But platforms like ours, like Octane Ai, will help you build one bot and deploy it to every platform so that you don't have to go through that hassle. But I don't think it's going to be a winner-takes-all scenario, right? There's always going to be different social networks that are competing against each other and different messaging apps that are competing each other. And some will be big in some areas of the world and other ones will be big in other areas of the world. And if you're a big enough brand and it makes sense for you to reach every corner of the world, you're going to need to have bots deployed on every messaging platform.
Tell me about this. We're running out of time. Before we do, think about it. The most exciting bot for you, for the future, not like we talked about one, I'm excited about it, and the most exciting application on VR that you think about, like, in a few years will be like, wow, that's really amazing. But before you do that, raise your hand if you're building a bot, if you're creating a bot. Well, that's very few people. About 10 people are creating bots. So
we'll check back in on you guys next year.
You have a lot of growth here, opportunity. And how many of you are building a VR or AR app? That's also 10 people. Okay, well, that's a very interesting market research here. Very few, actually.
It'll grow.
It'll grow. Well, this is all new. So in 1 minute, each of you, one application, one bot that you think, wow, this is really, really cool. And you, Helen, in VR.
Okay, so I'll explain one example, but I think it could encompass a lot. So eventually, bots are going to get to the point where they're ridiculously smart. They're using machine learning, natural language processing. They can understand everything you're saying. And so imagine right now you were going to plan a trip, and you're going to go to Travelocity.com. You're going to scroll through the website. You're going to have to click buttons and type searches and say, I'm going to choose this hotel. I'm going to have to figure out what restaurants it's nearby, what locations it's nearby, and I'm going to have to keep track of that all myself. In the future, maybe this is 5 years out or 10 years out, I imagine that I could go to the same website, but instead of browsing through it and clicking things and typing in things, I'll literally be able to talk to it. Whether that's with voice or thinking or typing, I'll say, hey, I want to go to Napa in May. And this bot would be able to understand what I'm saying completely like a person, but it would have instant access to every hotel and every database and be able to process information really fast and would be able to handle the entire experience as if I was talking to a real person.
That's cool, I want that. Helen.
I'm most excited about being able to go to places and explore them with other people. I mean, that's one future that I talked about, but right now with the connectivity...
So you go to Machu Picchu and you have your, how is that going to work? You have your VR 360 camera on top of your head?
No, well, ideally, you would be wearing a pair of glasses, you'd be able to be at home,
That's awful.
and you'd be able to connect with other people. I mean, but when you have the bandwidth, you have the computing power, the graphics power, to have an experience that feels like this from anywhere in the world, wherever you are, I think that is the future of where VR is going to be.
That's going to be very exciting. Well, we're out of time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you, both of you, Matt and Helen.
Thank you, Louis.
And let's have a lot of bots and VR. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.